Let's welcome back to the program. He's been on numerous times. Now officially a Hall of Famer, even though he's been a Hall of Famer in my eyes for many years. Jens Pulver. Jens, how are you?
Yo, I'm golden, man. How you doing, buddy?
I'm
How you doing?
I'm doing great. It was great seeing the family. It was great seeing you. We've talked about this for a long, long time. You knew about it. We talked the week after you found out. What was that all like last week? The whole week experience, being at the podium, accepting, now being a UFC Hall of Famer. Which, and again, I'm not trying to kiss butt. Which we've all known, and I've said, well overdue. It should have happened years ago.
Well, and I do appreciate that, but like I said, I think the timing, it couldn't have been better. It just worked out perfectly. Just the age of my children, what I've been doing, working for the UFC, just feeling whole again, and just not having all these regrets and stuff like that. It's just been, the timing was perfect. I'm still on cloud 10, I guess, is where I'm going to jump, and it's just been amazing. I'm glad my family got to be there, my mom and everybody else. It's incredible. My friends from Maple Valley, coming over to visit, and it was really cool to put the stamp on like that, It was, I'm still kind of stuck.
Well, I understand why you're saying it and the reasons for it, and yeah, that makes sense. My thing about it being way overdue is, unfortunately, time goes on. New fans come in. How many people knew Jens Pulver 4 years ago that may not know Jens Pulver today? You know what I'm saying? Now, yeah, they watched it.
They know me now.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
That's even cooler.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. They may not know you, and they definitely know you now. What was it like, standing up there, giving the speech, the whole thing Thursday night?
Yeah, that part. Well, again, I did everything in my power to memorize that thing okay, how do I put it? I knew for a long time, obviously I've known for quite a few months that I was going to be going up there in July. And I remember when I first got inducted, I was live on the Twitch stream. I think it was in Australia. And I'm all over the monitors and stuff like that. I was just teary-eyed. And I remember I started writing certain things down right then. And the wildest thing was it just kept taking me back. I found myself going backwards. Like I wanted to go home and to when I was a kid and where everything started. So that was the wildest thing when I got that. I was like, I just found myself, I went full circle, so to speak. And it was crazy because, we always talk about that, but it literally did it. When I got that induction, I went straight, boom, backwards. So I wrote this speech probably 5, 6 different times about how I wanted to do it. Then I was like, I got to go back and thank little Jen. I'm going to just get trippy, and hopefully people aren't like, damn, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? But I got to go back and thank this kid for not pulling that trigger. It's time to tell the story,
Right.
So it was surreal to go up there, and I was like, well, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry a lot, but here it goes.
So, Jens, first off, congratulations. Kudos to your career. I agree with Randy 100%. Should have been a long time ago. I've always considered you a Hall of Famer. But taking it back to the beginning, in the last segment we talked about how sports now have gotten to be more finesse. Even the fight game, the athletes are so close in conditioning and athleticism that it seems like the strategies are more like, okay, this guy doesn't do this well, so we're just going to target on that. And it's more about the strategy to win versus back when you were in it. It seemed like it was more go in there and just all power, brutality, beat the person up. Do you miss those old school days of the UFC?
I like the way it is now, kind of a puzzle, because who was really good at those puzzles and solving them was GSP. He was kind of the middle, and then Anderson Silva was another one. Well-rounded, can utilize it, can focus and attack. Mighty Mouse Johnson, forget about it. Demetrius, did the same thing. But that's, what I love is the fact that that's just the way the game was. Back when I fought, you had to slug it out. There was no, they were booing on a takedown. Boo! They hated takedowns. They wanted knockouts. And so tried to give them what they want. But, the game is, they're just so well-rounded. The coaches are coming to me. I remember saying that, I don't know, a few years ago, was when my wave of fighters start to retire and they start coaching. You know what I mean? Because in my era, I had Pat Miletich and a few that did MMA, but there was a lot of coaches that come in because it was so new. They were still transitioning from their martial arts, whatever their style of fighting and stuff was, and trying to create this system. But nowadays, you've had people that have had full careers in MMA and now turning around and coaching, and it's I like it. I like the fact that the knockouts are still out there. It's a fine line, I guess, because I was just watching, and I think it was Dana just went out there. I did the Ultimate Fighter. I was just watching the new season, and it's really, hey man, I'm just winning. I'm doing what it takes to win. And yes, that's good, but it's like you got to be exciting too. But it's like, no man, I'm doing what it takes to win. Period. If I get a knockout along the way, great. But I'm getting that W first. And I do remember that was me as a world champion. That was me and I was like, well, maybe people don't like this style, but I'm doing what it takes to win first. And if I get a knockout along the way, great. But, so I don't know, trying to find that perfect median between the two is always tough. And when you see that one fighter that does get it done, we love it. You know what I mean? Make sense?
No, definitely does. And let's talk about somebody that A, does that, B, comes from the old Miletich fighting systems, the old school. Go ahead and break down that Robbie Lawler fight on Saturday.
What an ending. What an ending. And he did it in close. He did it with the dirty boxing. He doubles up the left, pops the body shot, rips an uppercut, comes back up. He comes back over the top, and hits him in the head. And he just, to see him finish that, that's the one thing I love about Bob. Bob has always been out there to go. He's going to go 1,000% until he gets the knockout. He's always looked for that knockout. It's been ever since he was a kid. I've known him for so long. I remember he brought me to tears. Like I said, we were talking about that with the Tiki Goosen fight. When he just ran over the top of Tiki, I was sat there in tears, just crying. Like, dude, I can't believe what you just did. I'm like, you're incredible. I'm excited. I've known him for so long, and we always just have our favorite boxing matches we'd watch and the styles and stuff like that, playing video games all the time, being my little roommate and everything. It's just crazy. I don't sit there and think where the time went. I know where it went, but it's just see him go out like that, though, man, that's a rarity, and it's pretty damn cool at the same time.
You can't obviously write that movie in. I didn't realize, and Nico was a friend as well, A, Robbie was the underdog, which kind of surprised me, and B, a lot of times, and I don't want to ever call a professional athlete anything other than a professional athlete, but there's a lot of times, there's a fight and you look at it and it's like, come on, really? That's going to be Robbie Lawler's, I'm just using him as an example. That's going to be who he's fighting. Well, Nico Price isn't a pushover. Again, favored.
Yeah.
On and on and on. So to do that to Nico Price, to do it on your last fight, and I've been very vocal, Jens, I don't like when a fighter says, this is my last fight. And I said this up in the media room the whole time leading up to the fight. I said, I don't like it because then you have to question, did they really put the time in? Are they taking it serious? They know this is the last fight. And then I said, but this is Robbie Lawler. Robbie, trust me, it took this thing serious.
Nope, and you're dead set, 100%. I'm almost better off just getting surprised. With me when I retired, I know I said it a couple times, had this idea, but it was just on a flight to Australia, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. This is it. I'm done. And I just no announcing, no saying nothing. But to put that kind of pressure on yourself that this is my last fight, oh man, that it's only Robbie. There's only a few that can do it and rise to it like that. To me, I get it, but along the way, just kind of embracing pride. I don't know if I could put that kind of pressure on myself like that. Like, this is it. This is my last fight. But boy, he rose to it like a boss. But I was seeing the tears. You could just see him standing there, and there's photos of him just embracing before he stepped into the cage. Just did his walkout and just looking at everything, and it's like, man, he's got like, Robbie,
right.
Those aren't tears. That's just sweat that looks like tears. You don't cry. But, but just kind of standing, you could see that he was soaking it all in. And for some people, that could be a lot, right?
Right.
Why am I torturing myself by thinking about all this stuff? I still have to fight. You know what I mean? But Robbie can absorb it. So no, like you said, it made absolute sense that Robbie could do that. But watching him just kind of going through the motions, embracing everything, then to finish the fight the way he did, then to take a knee. Yeah, it was something. It was so cool.
So on Wednesdays we do the interviews, and I call them chats. I get to broadcast from the Apex, which is cool. And I got down there after the show was over, and Robbie was up on the podium, and somebody asked him, so have you reached out to Jens? Have you talked to Jens? And he goes, yeah, we talked, but we talked about techs and computers.
Always. That's always. Talk about that. His son, because his son does what kind of computer he wants to game. I go, I got my producer, Sean, aka 8K Snoo. Whatever you need, I'll make sure you get the best PCs. I go, prefer that you build one. Custom PC is better. I mean, if you have to buy one, if you got a sponsor or something, if it's an Alienware or whatever, more power to you. But ultimately, the idea would be if you can build one, build it. If you know somebody that can help you build it, because that way you can part out and, upgrade each piece and build it the way you want it. But yeah, that's what we would talk about a lot. But it was really cool to see him. Like I said, I ran into Nick along the way, so I got to see Nick Diaz for about. I remember to say Diaz this time. Everybody's like, I just say Nick. They're like, what?
Right.
I ran into Nick for a while and was able to hang out with him and catch up on the last day. And then I made my way over to where I could see Robbie and my brother Abel and everybody that was with him, and and just catch up. But it's I think the same thing. I found myself just going, I'd like to just be in touch. I just want to be in touch more and just kind of, just see family.
Yeah.
I miss my little brother, Robbie Lawler. I just want to go back to just BSing and catching up now that it's all done. It's been the craziest journey. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Be a part of it, fighting, seeing him since he was a youngster. This whole MFS, that was the last of us OG MFS crew, so to speak,
Right. No, I remember, as you
I want to make sure we keep in touch.
No, for sure. And as you know, I was there in those days, the whole Militich thing,
Sure.
and, Tim talking about Robbie and Matt talking about you. And that was definitely good times. And I don't want to say the first because I'm not sure, but it was one of the early, massive teams that dominated, from you, the little guy, all the way to Tim, the big guy. And I miss those times as well.
Yeah, we had, there were moments where, like I said, people talk. I love how it is now because I get asked all the time on the stream about back then and today. I love the thing I love about today is how many times you can fight. I love how big the UFC is. It's every weekend. I mean, you can fight all the time. But there was something about it when it was 6 shows a year, and every couple of months we all got to get together and just have a big reunion. Yep. Everybody's hanging out and just kind of catching up and seeing how everybody's doing and and fighting. There was something about it, but I really do love today's UFC a lot. I love how big it is. I love just every aspect of it, and being able to fight every week. Like I said, I've already said that, but I just. So yeah, it's cool that it was time to. It's time to move on. I can't wait to see what it'll be like in 10 years. Being a coach and stuff like that. Hopefully with Robbie, it'll be kind of crazy if we could all be. Hopefully we could all be on the same side of the octagon,
right,
coaching. Or it might be weird if we got to be against each other a little bit. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of fun to be had that way. Like I said, but in this new era of UFC, we'll find out.
Final question for you, Jens Pulver. What was it like the first time you signed the autograph, Jens Pulver, HOF?
It's funny. I just brought that. I know I keep talking about the Twitch stream, but it's right, where I spend all of my time talking and stuff. And I was like, I actually signed it. I signed an autograph, HOF. I was like, it's the wildest. I forgot. I did so many. I signed so many, and I still put my LILEVIL, and I try to write it like I'm a fourth. It's just a scribble. It makes no sense. But I was like, can you put HOF? Can I? Like, wait, I can't. Okay. That was the one time. It's just not. It hasn't made. It right, hasn't made sense yet. That I'm like, yeah. But I'm sure the more I move on, and the more I get out there, and the more I hang out, and the more people give me their time, which I love and appreciate, the more I'll get to remember to put HOF.
Good stuff, Jens. As always, thank you very much. Love you, man. And I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you for your time, but I appreciate you. Love you, my brother. Talk to you later on. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. That is Hall of Famer Jens Pulver. Love that dude. All right, let's go hit a quick break. When we come back, We got Winnie the Pooh coming up next. This is Knockout Radio, brought to you by 8 Man Strong, Staff Zone, and Bucked Up Energy.